I don't know where we go from here. But I mean, it was one of those ones on paper when you looked at it before and you went, you know what, I think West Ham are going to win this. Or more so, I was like, I don't know if we win this game because I don't see where the goals are going to come from. We've got no striker. We've got no goal threat at the moment. We're backwards, sideways. It's all over the place. The January transfer window coming back to bite us. How do we not strengthen with an attacker? Villa went and got three of all three of them have contributed as well. Like I would have taken any of those three at this point. And it's looking pretty gloomy. I mean, tomorrow's a big game, but we are not far off getting dragged down into a top 4 race because I don't see how we win tomorrow. Liverpool are going to beat Newcastle, and then what's that? 14 points if we lose 13 points with a game in hand. And you know, if City or who else is there? City, who else is down there? Chelsea are playing tonight. Like they can start catching us pretty quick. So it's pretty messy. And I mean, questions do have to be asked at some point, especially in this like 5 years without a trophy. And then the way this squad has been built and the gaps in this team, considering the money that's been spent. But regardless of that, we should be able to beat West Ham at home. Like we shouldn't be dropping points there, especially in the title charge.
Claire's coming at you.
But it is what it is. I'm not surprised.
I completely agree. Obviously, I was waiting for something to happen in January, honestly. And then obviously Kai Havertz as well and the injury. And
yeah, you think it was essential then?
Honestly, and then you was linked with all these different names. I know Cunha was one of them. I don't know if obviously there were much truth into that. Rashford was one of them as well. And there was a couple. Was Osimhen one? Osimhen?
Who were we linked? Watkins.
Ollie Watkins was the one.
Yes.
That was a joke.
I mean, can I just ask you, how serious was that bid? Because it felt like it was a bit of a token bid to me. If they really wanted to sign a striker, you go and sign a striker. And I kind of feel that Ollie Watkins would probably want to play for Arsenal. We're apparently an Arsenal fan. So if you really want to go for the title, if you really want to try and get yourselves over the line, then why are you not going to get someone who can put the ball in the back of the net? To me, it felt like a token gesture. Oh, look, we are putting a bid in for somebody without any teeth in the bit in the actual bid. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, and how much do you think Edu leaving the club had an impact on the recruitment process?
Firstly, I completely agree on the Watkins bid because one, that smelled exactly like Suarez 40 million and £1 back against Liverpool. It was like, we're Arsenal Football Club. We have money. Like, let's not pretend that we have to penny pinch. We spent 100 million on Declan Rice. Our PSR is completely fine. So if we wanted Ollie Watkins, one, you don't put a bid in when John Duran's about to leave to go Saudi, their only other striker, because obviously they're not going to sell both players at that part. So that doesn't make sense. And two, just pay what they want. If Villa wanted, 60 million or whatever it was, or 65, you pay for it, right? So yeah, that was a bit of a shambles. And as soon as that was announced, I was like, that's not going to happen. Firstly, Villa aren't going to sell. And secondly, that's not going to happen. He's not the profile of striker that fits in this system as much as I would take him at Arsenal. Arteta doesn't want a striker like that who plays on the last man. He wants a complete striker who can do a bit of everything. So it's just
that's Cunha, then, isn't it? If he wants that kind of player, then that's Cunha.
But
we were looking at Cunha, and I've got to be honest with you. If Arsenal are coming in with serious money on the table for Cunha and Forest are, then he's probably going to go to Arsenal. But they're not making any bids. So they're not going to win the title, and they've only got themselves to blame, really.
100%. And it goes back to squad building. I mean, firstly, you shouldn't be relying on the January window to bail you out. You should be doing your business properly in summer. But it goes back to that. How do you finish second place to Man City, who are run it 4 in a row? You take it to the last day, as much as we all know it wasn't going to happen. And your only signings, well, firstly, you spend 90 million on Calafiori and Mikel Merino, a left back who is not better than the current left back that you've got in your academy. So what's going on there? 60 million spent on someone who's not better than an 18-year-old who's playing out of position. And then Mikel Merino, who honestly offers nothing in that team. If anyone can tell me what Mikel Merino brings to this side,
when he came off the bench and scored those two
there you
goals,
go. He can come off the bench and score 2 goals. Against Leicester.
And why did you bother signing Raheem Sterling? What a waste of time.
My God.
He's clearly not fancied.
You know what's mad with the Sterling one is I wasn't actually mad that if that wasn't our only attacking signing. It was one of those I was like, why not on loan? Like we played, Arteta managed him before when he did more that one game we managed, but he's worked with him before. But then it was like, oh no, we're only getting Raheem Sterling. Pretty quickly when he wasn't involved in the team, you knew that goes back to the editing. It was like, well, that's a very questionable signing. Because one, Arteta obviously hasn't got a plan to get him in the system. And when he's played him, he's looked awful, completely off the paces. So yeah, it just goes back to squad building. And honestly, with 720, 30 million, whatever's been spent under Arteta in the last 5 years, being backed, cancelling contracts for any player you want, signing any player you want, sending players out, abolishing players from the squad, everything you've been given, this is your team right now. So I don't want to hear excuses saying the board haven't backed him. Like Arsenal fans saying the board haven't backed him are absolutely delusional. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Yeah. He spent 720 million pounds. So the only person to blame for this is the manager and the recruitment team, because they've got us in this situation where Arne Slot has come into his first season with a team that finished behind us 2 years in a row, by the way. So this whole thing of Liverpool have a title-winning squad, load of rubbish that is, because we finished above them 2 years in a row. So, and then again, that excuse is funny because if you're going to use that excuse for Slot saying he inherited a title-winning squad, then what do you say about Arteta, whose only trophy came with the squad that he inherited? So you can't have it both ways. The squad management has been really poor. He's run players into the ground, which is why we've got all these injuries. So you can't use that as an excuse. They're all self-inflicted. How did Havertz get injured in Dubai? Like, that was supposed to be a warm weather training camp. And then to go not buy anyone in January that was the signal that we're not going to win anything. And then, going out of the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, God knows if we're going to get through PSV, but it's another trophyless season. Let's be real. We are not catching Liverpool, and there is no way in hell we are winning the Champions League. Like, absolutely not. Even if we scammed our way to the final, let's say we got on a very good... At the moment we come up against a good team, we are finished. That's
I love your confidence.
Another trophyless season. I'm just used to it now at this point, Charlie. You know me already. I'm so used to it.
I know.
I can't even get annoyed at it anymore. I'm just like, let's just scrap some 1-0 and 2-0 wins here and there so we don't get dragged into a top 4 race, because getting into a top 4 race after all of this would just be a kick in the gut. And yeah, I honestly don't see us going to Nottingham Forest, who are the best defensive team in the league.
Well, slow down. We have been. But
you've jumped up a little bit, but you're still.
We had been.
Don't worry about us. Don't worry about Marino, Trossard, and Raheem Sterling scoring any goals at Forest tomorrow. Wouldn't be too concerned.
Got in the chat. Ty has put, realistically, Arsenal need a striker and 2 wide forwards. Do you agree with that?
It's not even just a striker anymore. Martinelli's not cutting it. Gabby Jesus is finished. Like, poor guy. He's had 3 knee surgeries since he's been here. He's done. Havertz isn't a striker. And we need a backup for Saka. So this is what's scary. And I think people need to realize is we've spent a lot of money. The squad isn't built yet. Because the players that are in there haven't proved it. And now you've got to replace them and the backups plus those who are leaving. And it's like, yeah, I completely agree with that. We need a striker, potentially 2 strikers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we need a Saka replacement, and we need a left winger now because Trossard's going, and then we've got Martinelli who's not good enough. So you could even argue you need 2. I don't know how this is solved in one summer. How have we got back into another rebuild?
Just asking now out of curiosity, obviously you've mentioned a striker. Who would your first choice striker be? Because there's some people linking you with Gyökeres as well from obviously Sporting, is it? So
yeah,
would you like him or do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, if money wasn't like, if we had unlimited funds and we could spend anything, any striker in the world right now would be Ishak, 100%. I think that's the perfect striker for us and a lot of teams, to be honest. I think Liverpool are going to try and give Liverpool a cheeky swap deal plus money there. Newcastle. If it's not Ishak, I would take Gyökeres. I think he's quality. Yeah. I would take Osimhen. And I would take Sesko. He's not. Sesko, I'm not really. I think Sesko is the one we're probably likely to end up with. But I don't think anyone else wants him that badly. No. But you know what else we missed out on in January is the fact that we are not the only team here who need a striker.
Exactly.
And we're not the only team who are going to be after a top striker in summer. The Premier League alone, we can get onto other leagues, but like Greg would say, Nottingham Forest, Chris Wood is 33 years old. If Nottingham Forest get Champions League football or any European football, let's be honest, they're going to buy a striker. And if it's Champions League, that suddenly puts them in the conversation for top quality strikers. And they've got the money to spend, I think, this year, especially if they get Champions League football. Chelsea need a striker because they've got Jackson and no one else, and Jackson's not cutting it. Man United need a striker because, I don't know, that guy up top is not a footballer. Let's be honest.
He's not. I don't want to be awful.
He might never get into your team, Shaw. He might not even start for Dale.
We've got 40-year-old Ian Henderson.
Oh my God, he is awful. So they need a striker. Liverpool probably going to be up for a striker too because Nunes isn't great and Yotta's injury prone. Newcastle need a backup striker because Wilson's going. That's in the Premier alone. Bayern Munich need a striker. What's the other one? Real Madrid, I'm not sure. Barcelona need a striker. Yeah. You can go through every top club in Europe and 80% of them need a striker in the summer. So what's to say that if we get in a bidding war, we're not gonna outbid some of these teams. So it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, but we're only have ourselves to blame. So it is what it is, and we go again, right? Another year.
Next year,
yeah, next year, next season.
This comment really made me laugh. Graham put, usually Tuesday's show is Man United therapy session. It's a refreshing change for it to be an Arsenal therapy session tonight.
Yep, honestly.